Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alexis and today I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I completed for the month of July 2021. Now, I will say I'm only going to be sharing briefly what I remember about my ratings, what I felt from the book, if I remember anything at all, because I don't want this to be too lengthy. I notice I tend to ramble a little bit. So first off, I have Kinley McGregor's A Pirate of Her Own. Now, this is the sequel to Master of Seduction. It is a pen name for this author, and I essentially gave it 3 stars. As the title implies, it is a pirate, and then it's his American love interest. Now, it's Morgan Drake, and he's supposed to be the best friend of the leading man from the previous book. We do get to see some of those characters in here as well. Serenity James is from, I believe, Charleston. I'm not sure, but somewhere in New England. And she intends to become a writer, and she wants to write about the sea wolf, aka Morgan Drake, but she doesn't know this. She does have an attraction to him, but she initially thought he was just a poser acting on a friend because of a friend's prank. But then she soon realizes that he is a real thing, and she decides to follow him out to sea, and gets herself captured, not by him, but one of the other pirates whom I'm not going to say. We do get to see the characters from the previous book, but in hindsight, I was kind of, I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I said more 3.5. I enjoyed the beginning, but the middle started to get a little dragging, and the ending felt a little rushed, which I do remember the ending. It was more so that Morgan and Serenity finally come together. Nearly a year passes, or there's a slight time jump, I think a year or 2 years, I'm not sure, and then realize that Serenity has something a secret that she kept from Morgan, and he is not really mad at her. Well, he's kind of mad at her, but he's more so mad at himself because of how he ended things and didn't go after her at the time that he could have. I know I'm being so vague, but I don't want to reveal too much like I have done, and I don't want to keep doing that. So, 3 stars is what I said. It was okay. I mean, I can't really say the plot was that memorable. Serenity does end up talking and being able to, I guess, allow the emotions of the pirates to show, and be able to converse with them, listen to their stories. As a writer, she's a good listener. She does the same for Morgan, and that's pretty much all I remember. Okay, this was the first book I read this month. Next, I read Bully. Now, this one, I'm still irritated about this book. I gave it 3 stars also, but I don't know if it's just something about bully romances, or the idea of it being the guy who's always hurting the girl, but really trying to hide his feelings because he doesn't want to admit to them. It was irking. I was irking a lot. And I'm not sure. Like, this was my first official bully romance that I know of. I'm pretty sure. And I heard so much hype about this. Maybe I'll read it again. I'll try it again. I don't know. But there's just these times where it just seems they're very catty, and not just him towards her, because it's supposed to be between Jared and Tate. Tate was initially best friends with Jared, but then after one summer when Jared returns, he starts bullying her throughout high school, or they were in middle school, and then when he returned after the summer before high school, or when he returned at the end of summer before high school, he started treating her different and being a bully, but in hindsight, he ended up keeping other boys away from her too, and she didn't know that until later on. So Tate does go away during their junior year, and then when she returns for their senior year, she's more willing to stand up for herself. She's not so submissive or quiet or just taking the beatings as is, verbally. I mean, he never actually hits her or anything. But she does get ridiculed and humiliated at school, for sure. There's also a little bit of cattiness on Tate's side with other females, and I thought that was kind of annoying. But at the same time, for considering when this was published, 2013, I can't say I was surprised with the cattiness or the standards of then, which is interesting because it was not even a decade ago. And I was in middle school when this was released, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I would say if I had read this earlier, I probably would have enjoyed it more, but just because I'm at where I am now, I don't know, I just wasn't interested in a bully romance, and I don't think I'm tempted to even read the sequels because of bully romances. It's just, this is kind of the same thing with mafia romances. Not that I've never read mafia romances, but I don't know if I'd be interested. I wouldn't even know where to start, for one. Or dark romances, I wouldn't know where to start. But this was apparently, for a bully romance, this is a lighter one of Penelope Douglas books. I've also heard a lot about Credence and Misconduct, I think, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm interested in pick up more of hers. Maybe I should just try another trope that she does. Anyways, 3 stars from this. Next, I read Dreaming of You, Lisa Kleypas, and this is supposed to be the sequel to Then Came You. It's supposed to be the love between Derek and Sophia. Sarah. Oh my god. So this is Sarah Fielding, and she is the love interest of Derek. When they first meet, she saves his life. They end up, let's see here. Well, honestly, I hardly remember. What happened. Oh, yes. So Sarah wants to write about the lives of people who work and are part of the lifestyle that Cravings is. So Derek Cravings' night store or night place, I don't know. They have lunches and drinks and gambling club. There you go. She wants to write about the gambling club and the lifestyle, but Derek won't allow her to come to one of the balls. So she ends up dressing up in a mask, and then Derek, not knowing who she is under the mask, he's intrigued by her and how she interacts with the crowd. He decides to take her upstairs, and they share a moment, but then he realizes who she is, and he tries to push her away. I thought that was kind of cute. I did give this 4 stars. Again, it has been a while, so I feel bad. I can't really say too much about it, but I did write my Goodreads review. It only took me 3 days to read this. I do work full-time-ish, so, and I'm a slow reader. The fact that I kept going, props to me. Anyways, 4 stars for that. Next, I read Real. Now, this is the first book I've ever read by Kennedy Ryan. It is perspective written, or it's written in first-person perspective. I was kind of concerned because reading books in third person is what I'm used to. I'm not used to reading in first person, but I ended up really enjoying this. Canon and Nivea's story. You can definitely hear a lot about this book. I don't want to touch too much on it because I feel like I'm going to reveal a lot of the plot, but essentially Canon is a director and he wants to do a biopic about an African American singer from the 1940s or 50s, just a famous and a fictitious, but in this book it's a real celebrity who was forgotten, but in reality, it's a fictitious character. So it's supposed to be him being the director of a biopic, and he's looking for his key actress to portray the actress that he wants to make the movie about. She performs in a theater, and he happens to be attending that showtime. That's how they meet. He's kind of standoffish at first, but then he slowly lets his guards down. There's a little bit of a lot of health related issue here. Slight bit with ex-lovers or former lovers. Paparazzi is definitely an issue here. Slightly forbidden because of work or office romance related. There's definitely some moments in here. I just don't want to share it because it's going to be a spoiler. But I definitely gave this 5 stars. I already bought 3 of their books by Kennedy Ryan, the Kingmaker series, or All the King's Men series, excuse me. So that includes the Kingmaker, the Rebel King, and Queen Move. Queen Move is technically the book that is supposed to be about a secondary character of the Kingmaker's duology, but all in all, Real is the first book I read by Kennedy Ryan. I definitely plan on reading her other series, and this is supposed to be the first of a new series, but the second one's not going to come out till 2022. Definitely gonna buy that as well as soon as it comes out. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this. Something about being able to see people of color and, everything that we aspire to be, as diverse as we aspire to be, the importance of sharing our stories and our struggles, and the fact that we overcome our struggles is just so beautiful. And I couldn't help but agree 100% with this book, as well as the swooning moments and the loving moments. Canon, it's just so caring. I just loved it. Next, I read Just Like Heaven by Julia Quinn. Now, I've heard so much hype about this. This is supposed to be your brother's best friend trope. This is supposed to be, lighthearted. And you know what? It was too lighthearted for me. There wasn't enough swooning moments. There wasn't enough, there just wasn't enough in this book. I gave it 3 stars. This is supposed to be a spin-off of the Bridgerton series about the Smiths family, which is supposed to be the orchestra of Bridgerton. They're not really good musicians, but they have their performances. And I just wanted more. Okay, this was Marcus and Honoria, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She is of the Smiths family. Marcus is the best friend of her older brother, who ended up getting caught in scandal and having to leave the country. So he asked Marcus to look after her. And essentially it wasn't difficult for him because he kind of always cared for her. And it grows into love and affection. And of course, when he comes back, the brother, there's an issue there. And there is his love story in the next one. But it was definitely giving me Anthony vibes from Bridgerton. And he annoyed me. Anthony annoyed me in Bridgerton. So in this one, Honoria's older brother annoyed me as well. Can't say I'm interested in reading on. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Not very memorable. I mean, nothing's coming off the top of my head, aside from the fact that it was overlapping with Bridgerton and it featured some of the Bridgerton characters, including my favorite, Colin Bridgerton. I have to say this was meh. And I can't remember anything, so yeah. I only really remember the end when the brother returns and, the brother gets mad. Whatever. 3 stars. That's all I gotta say. Now, for the next book, I read Once Upon a Tower by Eloisa James. Now, I did read the other fairy tale books by Eloisa James. This is supposed to be the 5th and the, let's see here, I believe. Yes, so this is the 5th book, and I ended up reading it because I read the other previous 4 books. This is supposed to be a retelling, as you can tell, of Rapunzel, and let's see, just gotta think on it a little bit. So, don't mind me looking down my notes. Yes, so Edie and Ewan. So Ewan is supposed to be a Scottish lord, and Edie is his love interest. Oh yeah, so he comes to English society to find a wife, and his intention is just to find someone to bear his heirs. But then when he sees Edie being so quiet and relaxed at the ball, not knowing she was actually sick, but he thought she was just so serene, and he knew that he wanted her. After their first dance, the next day when everyone else was trying to court her and come visit at their home, he went right to her father and struck a deal or whatever in order to obtain marriage, engagement, and Edie essentially is not bothered by this. She always knew she was going to marry anyway. She just didn't realize what she was getting into. I have to say that there are moments of sharing. So, okay, in this case, they were both virgins, and I thought that was really sweet. However, when there's especially towards the end, and I enjoyed it, but to say I enjoyed it, I mean, it made me feel. Okay, it hurt, but it made me feel, and that is what made it work for me. Still, I ended up giving it 3 stars because it started to lag for me a little bit in the middle, when on their way to his home, and there were times in here where I wish it would focus more on his backstory. Again, there's an issue here. It's mainly the female's perspective being shown, or her ideas being shown, whereas he always thinks she is enjoying herself when in actuality he's not knowledgeable, because again, they're both virgins. You're not experienced, you're not going to know, and if no one's talking to you about it on her end, she's not aware of what is acceptable and what is, sensual, and what is bonding, and what you should be talking about, and what you should be keeping from your partner to prevent any pain or lying. The end was, I enjoyed it for sure. But still 3 stars, but a high 3 stars. I will say that, a high 3 stars. And then the last 3 books of the month of July, I read Lisa Kleypa's Wallflower Series. So that includes Secrets of a Summer Night. So here, if you want to see the step back, you'll just have to watch the Wallflowers video that I made. Same thing for It Happened One Autumn. This is the 2nd book in Wallflower Series. There's also step back here. I'm not going to share. You can see in the next video, or the other video. And then I read, where'd it go? Oh, Devil in Winter. Now, Devil in Winter was the 3rd book of the Wallflower series. However, I did go right into Scandal in Spring, which is the 4th and last core book of the Wallflower series. I did make a separate video for those, so you can just see that before this if you haven't already. But yes, so I'm not going to talk about these 3 because, like I said, I did make a video on the series altogether. I will say though, I ended up giving these 2 the first two of that series 5 stars, and then the third one 4 stars, just because of my taste. And I know this one has a lot more ratings compared to the other books. This is the most popular of the series that I noticed. However, it was my least favorite, I will say that. And you can see my video on the Wallflower core books again before or after this if you haven't already. But yeah, that is essentially it, and that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, 10 books. I actually made double digit for once. I never do that. Or at least not when I'm working. Aside from that, yeah, I'm going to definitely be touching on the retelling fairy tales series by Eloisa James, because I noticed that there are just some things that were okay for me, and then other things I thoroughly enjoyed about the series. But all in all, thank you for watching. Again, my name's Alexis, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye!